Welcome to the Year of the Movie podcast, the podcast where we talk about movies from the year of the movie 2023.
Woo.
Woo-hoo.
Energy.
Energy. I'm getting over being sick. If you
not.
couldn't tell from my voice,
Mm-hmm.
I don't really know what my voice sounds like. I
Um,
imagine Jimmy Neutron?
just separate from this, you just imagine Jimmy Neutron.
Here's my train of thought there.
Okay.
My brain for some reason said Peter.
That's not Jimmy Neutron.
No, but then I didn't want to reference Family Guy. I don't want to be that person.
Too late.
But I
Yeah.
needed to explain my train of thought. And so I went to another animated thing, and a lot of people have said I look like Jimmy Neutron. So I went with Jimmy Neutron.
It's a bit of a stretch.
Yeah, I'm
It
going to say you
is.
don't look like Jimmy Neutron.
I'm Sebastian,
I'm Maggie.
and with us in the video booth we have Bryce. How you doing, Bryce?
Running on 3 hours of sleep. Let's go.
Always love the Bryce corner.
It's very small and
Yeah.
dark, but full of joy.
Before we begin, just wanted to say if you want to support us, go to our Patreon.
Mm-hmm.
You can support us there. We're gonna have exclusive content.
Mm-hmm.
Content comes out a day early there.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want access to that Patreon, there should be a link in the bio wherever you're listening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Reviewing us also helps.
Reviewing us does also help. And today we're talking about the movie Bottoms.
Bottoms.
I joked, Bryce, that because sometimes we like to do some set dressing.
Yeah.
That for this episode we don't explain it, but anytime we cut to your camera, it's just your bottom.
It's just...
Over my face, or
No, you just
No.
have to talk.
Like
you-
you still have a mic, but the camera is pointed at your butt.
But then there's a
Oh.
fake mic at your butt, and then it's like Jim Carrey in Ace Ventura.
I just flap my cheeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. It would be a hilarious gag.
Instead, we don't have any set dressing except for our sign.
I
Mhm.
could have brought the golden shorts.
Oh, yeah. If you don't know about the Golden Shorts, go ahead and head over to our YouTube channel, Virtual Cocktail, and check out our little short film, The Armor.
Mm-hmm.
Maggie, why did we start this podcast?
Well, Jimmy Stewart. We started this podcast because 2023 is a weird year for movies. There were strikes.
Mhm.
That one, at least, is still ongoing. One
Yes.
is tentatively good now.
The writer's strike at this point is pretty solidly
Yeah.
good.
So that makes things interesting. And then, the movies that have come out are Cocaine Bear. We legally have to mention our sponsor, 65.
Thank you, 65, for sponsoring this video.
Thank you, Adam Driver, personally, for sponsoring this video. What else is there?
80 for Brady.
80 for Brady.
Barbie, which was a great movie.
Yeah.
Weird.
Air.
Mhm.
The Tetris movie. Big George Foreman. Blue Beetle. Not the weirdest, but another one
But
that came out.
it's a DC property
Yeah.
that you don't really hear about too often,
Yeah.
and it didn't do well.
One of
It
my...
came out.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's how well it
Yeah.
did. At this point, it is no longer in theaters,
I don't believe so.
and it didn't do well. At
That-
some point, we're going to have a DC episode where we talk about the DC movies of the year.
We're
That
also going to do one
one's
for Marvel.
so far over my head.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I was even kind of excited for it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Another movie that is coming out this year that I'm excited about is Chicken Run, Dawn of the Nugget.
Yes, that'll be good.
So goofy year for movies. This is probably one of the goofier movies that have come out this year, but in a very good way.
Yeah.
Bottoms. The synopsis is unpopular best friends PJ and Josie start a high school fight club to meet girls and lose their virginity. They soon find themselves in over their heads when the most popular students start beating each other up in the name of self-defense.
Mm-hmm.
What were your first impressions when you heard about this movie, and also how did you hear about this movie,
Well,
if you remember that?
when I first heard about the movie, it was just what is Bottoms? And then I think you were like, it's this movie made by this person who made this other thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, cool.
Yeah.
And then I saw images for it and the synopsis for Fight Club. And I was like, that could be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And then it wasn't until a comedian we know went and saw this movie 8 times in theaters.
Yeah.
That I was like, oh, maybe this is something good.
Mm-hmm.
And then I saw someone else post about it, and they posted a little bit of like the intro to the movie.
Yeah.
And it's the Orion Pictures thing, and I love Orion Pictures. They
Mhm.
made some great movies back in the day,
Mm-hmm.
and so that kind of got me excited for it.
Yeah. I was definitely interested in this movie. I have not seen Shiva Baby. This is the director that did Bottoms, also did Shiva Baby. I heard like great things about it. It's one of those movies that's like always on my watch list, and I just haven't gotten to it yet. So I was interested to see like what their follow-up would be to that. And then it was this one, and then it was like wildly goofier and just more upbeat than I expected it to be.
Yeah.
And then I heard about it because I follow like various queer news outlets and stuff on Instagram. So like I was aware of it. I don't know how mainstream this movie is. I am very surprised. Like, we're not saying the person's name because we don't really know them that well. It's not Sean, but like the comedian that we know is not the target audience for this movie.
Not at all, but he loves movies.
Yeah.
So
I'm very curious to see like what the general response is to this movie
Yeah.
if you're not like a queer person.
Bryce, did you know about this movie?
No, but I would like to. I'm
Well,
going in this.
You're gonna
Raw.
find out
Yeah.
so much in this podcast.
I'm going into Bottoms raw.
So Bryce
You
told
should.
Bryce told us that he likes doing these episodes that he hasn't seen the movie because he learns things.
Mhm.
I love Bryce being here because it gives us someone to actually talk to.
Yeah.
Instead of just like the camera where we like have to pretend we're talking to an audience explaining things. This
Yeah.
way we can like actually.
Yeah.
It's just a win-win for everybody.
Yeah.
I'm the eyes into the production.
I am the
Yeah.
eye in the production, looking at you.
So a couple disclaimers up top. This is a very raunchy movie.
Mhm.
There are swears like in the trailer.
Big
Shocker. Yeah. So this is a very R-rated movie. So like do with that what you will. Another thing is I have been looking up facts about this movie literally all day, so I know this is going to be a longer episode.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be a long one. Sorry,
Yeah.
Bryce.
Yeah.
Out here on 3 hours of sleep.
Let's
We out here, man.
let's
But-
strap in.
I do want to say right now, like this is like not a spoiler of the movie, but a spoiler of how we feel about this movie.
Good.
We loved this movie,
I've seen it twice.
and so
I'm on my way to 8
Yeah.
times.
we've briefly mentioned it in the past and previous episodes that like our longer episodes tend to be about ones that we don't like.
Yeah.
And this is not one of those ones. This is
This-
going to be longer because we really like this movie, which
Yeah.
I love because I don't want to be the person who's like blah blah bad
Yeah.
and just like yeah that's good,
Yeah.
right? So that's how I feel.
I agree. I was also thinking of that while I was looking up stuff for it. There's also like a lot more like quotes and stuff of people talking about their experiences on the movie. And I'm very excited to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know whose turn it
I
is.
believe it's yours.
Cool. Swearing time. So we see a speaker on a classroom wall as a PA system chimes. 2 girls, PJ and Josie.
Sorry, 1 second. Should we say that this is where we're talking about the trailer?
This is where we talk about the trailer
Why do we talk about the trailer?
because it's illegal to show it.
Okay. There's also other reasons, but we talk about the trailer if you haven't
We-
seen this before.
Yes, we talk about the trailer to give you like an idea of the movie, and boy oh boy does this give you an idea of the movie.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's something a little something to tell you about the film itself. Also, we don't want to give like too many spoilers up top about a movie that has come out this year. So if you want to watch it, skip and come back to this episode. I do recommend watching this movie.
Yes.
We see a speaker on a classroom wall as a PA system chimes. 2 girls, PJ and Josie, are shown sitting at desks alone, and a voice says over the speaker, "Could the ugly, untalented gays please report to the principal's office?" 2 other girls, Brittany and Isabel, stand in front of the seated ones, and one says, "Guess that's you guys." The music picks up, and the Orion Pictures logo briefly appears. PJ and Josie are getting ready in a room, and PJ says, "Tonight is our night. We're getting cooch." There's a brief shot of a fairground as PJ continues, "I'm going to talk to Brittany." There's a shot of Brittany's face. "You can say hi to Isabel." There's a shot of Isabel in slow motion. Josie looks transfixed by Isabel with her voiceover. "What would I say? Hey girl, how's your boyfriend? How's his penis?" And we see Isabel hugging her football player boyfriend Jeff. There's a big dance break with everyone hip thrusting along with Jeff, making it clear he's the school's favorite special boy. PJ and Josie are in the principal's office, who tells them, "I'm going to expel both of you for committing a crime against Jeff." And we see various shots of Jeff as well as him saying his own name. We see Jeff blocking a car with Josie, PJ, and Isabel inside. Jeff is telling Isabel to get out, who yells back, "You can't tell me what to do." Jeff gets more erratic, yelling for Isabel. Josie drives the car forward a little bit, like, boop, that, like, not much, and almost touches his leg. He collapses to the ground. Back in the principal's office, Josie says that they didn't commit a crime. They were just practicing for a self-defense club. The principal says, "What, like a fight club?" And PJ says, "Yes." The principal says, "Just stay in your lane until you're munching beaver at Wesleyan." PJ says, "Yes, sir," while putting her fist up for a fist bump, and Josie pushes it down. The title card, "This Summer," with Josie asking, "What's your plan here?" And PJ responds over various shots of Jeff and their classmates. Jeff is psychotic, and they're picking on the weak and defenseless. More shots of the girls in their class on bleachers as she continues. "So we teach a bunch of girls how to defend themselves. They're grateful to us. Adrenaline is flowing." We see PJ and Josie by the football field, and she says, "Next thing you know, Isabel and Brittany are kissing us on the mouths." Title card from the producers of Pitch Perfect. Then we see Josie and PJ talking to their teacher, Mr. G. Josie says, "You can be our club advisor," and he responds, "You know, my mom did say I need to pick up a hobby." Another title card and Cocaine Bear. Before showing PJ standing in front of a group of girls in a gym, slamming her backpack down and saying, "Welcome to our fucking fight club." There's a different shot in the gym of people warming up while Mr. G runs over saying, "Let's get it popping in this motherfucker." He blows a whistle, pop music starts playing, and we see various club members punching each other in the face in a bunch of quick shots. We see Brittany punch someone while a football player, Tim, looks on, and another club member screams, "Yes, Queen Slay." There's a quick shot of characters cut between full-screen graphics to the beat of the song, showing a Rolling Stones review reading, "Bottoms is the hottest, bloodiest high school movie of the 21st century." Bloodiest high school movie in the 21st century. The shots show more punches and water being poured over a cheerleader. We see PJ and Josie walking through a hallway with their friend, Hazel, who tells them having a safe space like this, it means a lot to people. A club member says, "I'm gonna finally reverse stalk my stalker," and PJ cheers her on. Another club member says, "I'm gonna be able to kill my stepdad," and there's a beat before PJ and Josie both respond with, "Awesome!" Title card with an IndieWire review, "Hilariously weird," before showing Tim talking to Josie and PJ, saying, "It seems so supportive of women, especially the hot ones." Then quick cut to Mr. G talking to the club and saying, "Men need therapy." Another title card review, "Unhinged and indescribable." Then a shot of Isabel pushing through people in the cafeteria, walking up to Jeff with Hazel and asking, "Are you cheating on me?" He says no, and Hazel tells him, "I literally saw you yesterday." Jeff yells, "Shut up, nerd, I fucked your mom." And the title card stays on him for a beat while he realizes what he says. Title card review, "Wildly brilliant." Then shots of the club members in dark clothes and masks all in a van together, then throwing eggs at Jeff's house. It goes back to PJ talking to Josie, saying, "We are literally at the bottom. We have nowhere to go but up." And Josie looks at her bloody lip in the mirror and smiles. There's a brief shot of Josie and Isabel leaning in to kiss, a shot of Brittany and cheerleaders, then Mr. G's chalkboard that reads, "Feminism, who started it?" Tim is intimidating Josie at her locker, saying, "Your club is over," with a shot of Jeff making the throat-cutting motion and another shot of a football player about to fight Hazel. Josie's voiceover says, "They deserve a shot at showing everybody how fucking cool they are," and the football player throws Hazel across the gym in front of the students watching from the bleachers. There's another shot of the club walking together in formation, Isabel in front saying, "Let's go fuck up some football players," before a lot of quick, chaotic shots. There's close-ups of punches, an explosion, Hazel fighting that one guy, Josie and PJ waving hi to Mr. G, then the title card bottoms. Cuts back to Mr. G talking to Josie and PJ, saying, "You created a fight club to get some coochie. Y'all don't even know how to work that thing. I know y'all ain't tickling the pearl." Josie responds, "I just don't know if you're supposed to be talking to us like that, just like as a teacher." Another line or title card, "Only in theaters in August," before cutting to black.
Mm-hmm.
This is obviously a raunchy movie.
Indeed, from the trailer alone. I will say, I'm glad I didn't see the trailer before watching the movie.
I also didn't watch it until prepping for this episode. And I agree. It definitely sets up that it's a teen movie spoof. It's taking things to an extreme level. It's definitely playing off of the thing of like there's always some weird situation of like dude has to make an entirely wild setup so that he can get with one specific girl, and then by the end of the movie they end up together and like she's cool with the weird situation that happened. So it's definitely playing off of that and like Fight Club. It's really highlights the football players as the main antagonists, which we'll get to later. And then there's also a lot of reviews included in the trailer itself, which I feel like most of the ones that we've talked about so far haven't done that. I don't always love it when trailers do that. I do kind of feel like...
I mean, I get it for this one because the movie is so weird.
I feel
and
like
the
it's
trailer
necessary.
seems so satirical.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like... teen spoof movies sort of died off. Because they were like spoofing for spoofing.
Yeah.
This one was spoofing with a point.
That's, the director, Emma Seligman says that at one point, or at one interview that I found about how she wanted to bring back the teen movie vibe.
Yeah.
I do feel like the reviews are kind of necessary for this one, just to be like, it just feels like one of those conversations that you're having with someone where you're trying to explain like something that's really good but also really weird, and you're like, dude, I swear this is good. Like, look at there are all these people who are agreeing with me. I swear this is a good movie. It's a wild premise, but it is very fun. Also, the description for the trailer on MGM's YouTube is, want to get punched in the face by hot girls? Well, get in line.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where's the line? I just want them to know I exist.
Wow. You're not like the other boys.
I wanted to... I try to say that like Droopy the dog.
Mm-hmm.
You familiar with Droopy the dog, Bryce?
Yeah, actually, yeah.
Yeah.
I got a little stuffed animal of him at Golden Corral in Bedford.
That's so
A
good.
little claw machine.
Have you ever heard him talk? Because he's very much... It's just like, oh boy.
Is that the one that's growing up, sir?
It might be.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's talk about the movie.
Anyway, the cast includes Droopy the dog. This, I guess we're getting into spoiler territory now-ish.
A little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, this one, if you haven't seen the movie,
Why are you listening to this podcast?
go watch the movie. It's just such a good...
It is a very good
Such a
movie.
Or if
Yeah.
you don't want to, you just want to watch a podcast first.
I mean,
go
that's
for it.
fine. If you don't want to watch the movie, just watch the podcast.
That's fine, I
This
guess.
movie, I will say, movie, not for everyone. It's not for
No.
everyone.
No, this is either definitely really for you, or you're like, why?
Yeah. If you don't want a big rated R movie with violence and sex,
Mm-hmm. Go watch Chupa.
go watch Chupa.
Honestly, for the takedown at the end alone,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. The cast. So it's Rachel Sennott as PJ, Ayo Edibiri as Josie. She was in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Mutant Mayhem, which came out the day that we are recording this. Ruby Cruz as Hazel. Havana Rose Liu as Isabel. Kaya Gerber as Brittany. Nicholas Galitzine as Jeff. Miles Fowler as Tim. Zamani Wilder as Annie. Summer Joy Campbell as Sylvie. Virginia Tucker as Stella Rebecca. Wayne Perret. There was an accent over an E, so I'm not quite sure how to
Which
pronounce
E?
it.
The second E?
I think so.
Oh,
no, the first one.
Okay, so it's...
Perret.
No.
Wayne.
Pear.
Wayne Pear as Principal Myers. Marshawn Lynch as Mr. G. Dagmara Deminzik as Mrs. Callahan, that's Hazel's mom, and Punky Johnson as Rhodes.
Yeah.
So the cast feels pretty big.
I really only knew 3 people well. The teacher I did recognize, but
Marshawn Lynch.
yeah, I didn't know why until you told me.
So he is I believe now former NFL player. This is his first feature, but he has been in like I believe he was in like a side character in Westworld, and then he was in an episode of Murderville, which the director watched and then wanted him for this movie because of that.
I can see why.
Also, he was in a different movie we'll talk about later, 80 for Brady.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, also people just loved him. They just loved working with him. He's really good at improvising. The credits for this movie, like when they introduce everyone's names, then they also include like a little mini blooper reel, and his was just like all these various takes on like one specific scene of him just improvising everything. And a bunch of interviews that I saw that was like, who's the funniest cast member on set, like those kind of softball questions, and everyone was just like Marshawn Lynch. He also taught all of them how to throw a football.
That's nice. I
think it's very sweet.
That's very nice.
Yeah. This is Rachel Sennott.
I recognized her.
She, I believe, was in The Idol, but she's also the lead in Shiva Baby.
Yeah.
Emma Seligman, Rachel Sennott, and Ayo Edibiri all went to NYU together.
I knew, yeah.
So they've all, like in pairs, they've all collaborated on things, and this is the first time that the trio of them have worked together, and they've all wanted to for a couple of years, it seems like. And this is a good combo. So yeah.
Obviously, Ayo Edibiri. She's blowing up right now.
Yeah. She was in Mutant Mayhem, like we talked about. She's in The Bear. She's in Abbott Elementary. She does stand-up.
Yeah. She's
cool. She said that Rachel was the one that convinced her to start doing stand-up. Because she was doing it, or like they met through improv, I think. And then, again, I looked up a lot about this movie. But, she was doing improv, and she was like, I don't want to do stand-up because I'd be doing that by myself. And then Rachel was like, you wouldn't be doing it by yourself. We're going to shows together. So they're very supportive of each other.
That's good.
You can clearly see that through this movie. Did you know who Kaya Gerber was? I forget.
Kaya Gerber. With the name Gerber, I hardly know her. I mean, I only know her because of the name and then what you told me after we watched the movie.
Yeah, she's a Nepo baby, and she's dating Austin Butler. I just knew her as like a model with a famous mom who was also a model.
A baby model.
Yeah. This movie like made me kind of like her, or be like,
She was good.
This celebrity has a personality. That's fun. Yeah.
And then Punky Johnson I knew because she's on SNL.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny that she's in one scene of this movie.
She's the
and then gets
briefest.
like and Punky Johnson credit.
Yeah. I think like her role specifically was the smallest in this movie always. I think Mrs. Callahan, at least from like the credit scenes that they were showing, she seemed to have a larger role that I think eventually got cut, because it seemed like the editing process for this movie was like really honing in on like what is the actual tone and what are we actually trying to say, instead of just like making weird jokes. So I think she had a larger role with the Jeff storyline that got cut. But that's just the little that I've pieced together.
Yeah. Anyway,
now is actual spoiler territory, I'd say.
Movie talk time.
It's funny.
That's
the spoiler.
It's one of the funniest movies I've seen.
Yeah.
Especially like this year so far.
Oh yeah.
I'm trying to think what have we watched a comedy? I mean, we've watched things we haven't talked about. Barbie was funny. Barbie was a very funny movie.
Somebody I used to know definitely marketed itself as a comedy.
It tried to be funny.
Yeah.
Let me find my list of movies.
Like we mentioned, this is a spoof of teen movies. Trying to think, like, walking out of it, I definitely thought of Heathers. We watched it together for the first time, and then the second time that I saw it, I watched it with my girlfriend, and she was like, this definitely made me think of But I'm a Cheerleader. So it's definitely in that vibe of like over the top campy movie.
We Have a Ghost was a comedy we
We
watched.
Have a Ghost. Is a
Super
comedy.
Mario Brothers. I would consider that a comedy.
Mhm.
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3,
Yeah,
maybe?
maybe.
I don't know. Renfield.
Oh yeah.
Cocaine Bear, I guess, was comedic. So maybe
Yeah.
we've watched comedies and I just didn't think about it. Because this one, if I'm being honest, kind of blew them out of the water.
Cocaine Bear, I'd say, would be the closest, partially because the producer connection. But then it's just that's the other one that's the most over the top of the ones that we've talked about. But this is that one was over the top and this is a goofy situation.
Yeah.
Hijinks ensue. This one is a definite actual laugh out loud funny.
Yeah.
The cast all play well off each other really well.
Yeah.
I definitely know Marshawn Lynch's lines were mostly improvised. I don't know how much of the rest of the cast was, but
It seems like some of it.
yeah.
Because one of the bloopers that they showed was when they were getting dressed, ready to go,
yeah.
and those were lines that didn't make it in.
Yeah, and then PJ's character is wearing suspenders when she's first introduced or whatever, and then that was one of Kaya Gerber's things was her being you look super religious.
Yeah.
You look like a little Dutch boy. Those kind of takes over and over again. So yeah, that was it's a solid cast.
Mm-hmm.
I guess we should the actual plot of the movie sprinkle that in is
I mean, I'll be honest, the trailer kind of really accurately tells it in a way that I don't love that the trailer did, because I loved not knowing what to expect. Having the synopsis be they create a fight club, and then you're watching it and it's two best friend characters. You're oh, is this a spoof of teen movies but also a spoof of Fight Club?
right.
Are they both real? What's going on? I was legitimately maybe one of them isn't real.
Josie's a figment of PJ's imagination.
For a second I was because there were times where I'm it could be.
Yeah.
It could be.
It's not. Spoiler,
It's not.
Josie's real. So I agree that the trailer sets it up sets up the plot pretty well. It does make it seem like it is the high school's home football team that is the antagonist, and it is actually a different high school that are the
Yes, they're both I mean, they're
the-
both.
the big okay.
The
plot.
high school's antagonist is the other football team.
Correct. The actual Fight Club's antagonists are Tim and Jeff.
Yep.
So the overall thing is it makes fun of the classic we're in a sticky situation and now we have to lie to get our way out, where Isabel and Jeff were fighting because Jeff was flirting with someone's mom, and then they're all in the car together. That's the shot that they show in the trailer. Josie almost hits him, and he freaks out. He shows up to school the next day on crutches, and everyone is I can't believe you beat up Jeff. I can't did he fight back? How did you do it? And then Hazel, their friend, is also does not understand sarcasm. So when they're first hanging out, then Hazel is what'd you guys do this summer? Because Josie has her arm in a cast, and they're just saying that Josie fell or something, but then somehow through PJ's sarcasm, then she's yeah, we were at juvie this summer, and Hazel's you guys were at juvie this summer?
And really believed it.
And then it's the rumor spreads, so everyone is these two juvie convicts
Beat up our star football player.
beat up our favorite boy Jeff, and now they're in the principal's office. That's why he's I'm gonna commit you for crimes against Jeff. And then they're no, it was just a self-defense thing. And then the Fight Club thing is formed where they're this will help us get attention from girls, because Isabel paid attention to Josie when she was defending her from Jeff. And then that's how the rest of the movie goes. The other tension or the time crunch aspect of it is the school's rival football team. They play each other every 20 years or something like that, and the big game is coming up at the end of the month. And they're like the PA system. This is another one of those like the making over the top making fun of the teen movie thing, where a girl gets over the PA system and she's like, one of the Richmond, I forget the name, Richmond whatever, she's like, one of the rival players found me in a parking lot and punched me in the face. Like, they're like, oh my god, we have to defend ourselves for the big game. So that's like the like training montage is, that's what they're training for, is to defend themselves against the other school. Eventually they like, there's different specific scenes we could maybe get into, but like Isabel and Jeff break up, they get back together at one point once everyone finds out that like the Fight Club was formed for them to like meet girls, and everyone is like, I can't believe, well, Tim is like, I can't believe you would do this to meet girls and to not to truly uplift women, and it's all very goofy. But the big fight scene at the end is them fighting the other football team and rescuing Jeff.
And it's a violent fight scene.
Yeah, it's really good.
They kill people, like they kill the football players. Yeah. And then afterwards it's like, I think that one's dead. And then they're like, I think a lot of them are dead. I think we killed like
Let's process this later.
The writing
very good.
Is great.
Yeah.
I love that the writing for all of the people who basically are like Jeff supporters are the football supporters, right? Mm-hmm. It feels like AI that read a bunch of teen movies, and then try to produce its own.
It is
because it really is like crimes against Jeff. Like that is like,
it's that meme of like, I made a bot watched like 10,000 hours of blah blah blah, and this is the commercial that it made.
Yeah,
it's that.
That's how it like their writing is, and then like the girls in the Fight Club are written like normal people, like they talk normally.
Like, they're all like. Or like the main characters at least are like, they're definitely flawed people, and they show that through the movie. PJ especially makes a couple like social boo-boos, and like just kind of sucks a little bit with especially with Hazel and how PJ treats Hazel. But yeah, it's all like it's a happy ending, or like everyone is redeemed at the end basically, but it doesn't feel like cheesy in the way that the movies they're originally spoofing off of feel cheesy. This is like,
and it's because they killed a bunch of people.
Yeah, they're trauma bonded now, baby. Part of the comedy, there's so many details in the set design. There like so many that I missed the first time watching it, and then seeing it the second time, then they were all pointed out to me. But like that was also some of the jokes that they were talking that some of the interviews were talking about, like that got cut, where like they became background pieces instead. So like they're still technically in the film. Yeah. But so like there's a scene where PJ, Josie, and Hazel are talking on the bleachers, like about to form the Fight Club, and Josie has a math book, and the front of the cover says "Math for Women." The PA announcement saying at like them walking through the hallways, it says there's gonna be no reading this year because they're out of books or something like that. The mascot costume, their mascot is the Vikings, but it's like it's a dog in like a Viking helmet with just the biggest dick. And it's always in the background. So like they also just like, there's posters everywhere of Jeff, and it just says "get horny," and like the hip thrusting thing is a big part of like their whole
dance, like like during the pep rally, and then before like the big game starts, they're like on the court or on the field, and they're just like hip thrusting back and forth, like in unison.
We went to IU, and IU's thing is going like IU with your arms. This is their IU. It's just hip thrusting. So there's always like the dog with the boner in the background, just constantly doing it. The Mr. G's chalkboard has so many little details of like, he starts out just like fully checked out of everything. and then he becomes like the club sponsor, and then they're like teaching him about feminism, kind of. So like there's that thing that shows up in the trailer of he changes his lesson to like, what is feminism, who started it, and then it's a multiple choice thing where it says like Gloria Steinem, a man, someone else. Like there's so many details like that. I didn't notice this the first time I watched it. The fairground that they're at in the very beginning, there's a banner at it that says football is all we need, it's also all we have.
And they really do act like it.
That's there's also a mural of Jeff. What's the Sistine Chapel, like the
well, it's the God and Adam,
but
whatever that one's called,
like the
But
touch
it's
of life or something like that.
Creation of man.
Yeah, thank you. But it's Jeff.
Yeah. And when you see it in front of the mural is all of the football team at this long table, like the Last Supper.
Yeah.
Like they're in that form.
It's when Isabel is about to confront him for cheating on her.
Yeah.
And it's also great because it's just in the background. They don't acknowledge it or anything. And it cuts back and forth between Isabel like stampeding towards Jeff and Jeff going, "Oh, she's walking a lot faster than normal." Like,
It is the creation of Adam.
Thank
My
you.
bad.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. One thing, I mean, a bunch of things that I liked, but in a previous episode, what was it? The one about Knock at the Cabin.
Sure.
I said that movie, was it that one? The movie edged,
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it had no payoffs.
This finishes
This movie finishes you off hard
multiple times.
many times.
I want
Like
that to be like the review that they put into the trailer.
You got finished by Bottoms?
dude, yeah, a lot, and I loved it.
Yeah. Would recommend.
Because there's so much like that happens that it's just like, oh, that's silly, that's weird, and then it just comes off like randomly.
Like Jeff is allergic to pineapple.
Yeah.
So
Like there's a scene where like he's in line getting lunch at the cafeteria, and they put a fruit cocktail on his tray, and then Tim, his best friend, sidekick, knocks it off, and then yells at the cafeteria lady, and he's like, "Pineapple? What is this bullshit? You know he's allergic." And then it pans over to a sign that says "No pineapple."
it says pineapple is worse than drugs.
Yeah.
And then
And then it pans back, and then
Yeah.
Tim is like, "We've been over this."
it's both of them. That was one of the actor that played Jeff. That was like one of his blooper things at the end. Is just the multiple takes of them yelling at this lunchwoman, being like, "Eat a dick, Janice."
Yeah.
Like.
So like that was just like a silly thing of like, okay, this football player is just a delicate little boy, right? But then at the end, because it's revealed that every time this big game happens, the other team
They
kill
kill
someone on like on our team,
Yeah.
right? And so the way that they're going to do it this year is they put a bunch of pineapple juice in the sprinkler system.
So they have to rush Jeff off of the field. So it's Josie like carrying Jeff over her shoulders, and it cuts back and forth between like her slow motion running with him and then just all of the punches landing
Yeah.
so hard. And it's really good.
So like that's like a silly payoff. My favorite one that like I noticed in my one viewing is that when you're first in the classroom of Mr. G's classroom, it's, you know, all of the girls are in the front, and then in the back in a row again are the football players. But in the very back corner, it's never focused. Like you never get a shot of it. You just see it out of focus. Is a football player in a cage, a big giant cage, and he's just kind of standing there, and he's just like
Vibrating.
and it's just like oh, this is really weird. And at this point, like we're already getting a vibe that the movie is goofy because we've already seen Jeff fall to the ground after like slightly getting touched by the car.
Yeah.
And then
Showing up on crutches.
all of the other football players like hold him on the ground, and Tim yells into the air of like, "Why, cruel world?"
Yeah.
Like, so we know it's a goofy movie. But then you see the cage, and it's just like,
Sure.
What? Okay. And then in the trailer, we talk about how Hazel fights a football player, right? Hazel agrees to fight someone for the pep rally. And then they're like, she
thinks she's fighting PJ,
yeah.
but she's not. This is when there's like a rift in the friendship.
Yeah. And Tim tricks Hazel into fighting one of the football players. And they reveal the football player by removing a tarp off of a box, and it's the cage full of the buffest football player you have ever seen.
Named
Tucker. And he's just like, yeah, all right, here we go, right? And they open the cage.
They release Tucker.
Yeah, and he's just like, it's just like, what a wild setup that like probably a lot of people maybe didn't even notice, because a lot of people just like are really focusing on what's happening in the discussion. But then, like, they just pay it off in this wild way, and they finish you good.
Yeah. My other one that I liked is when they throw the fruit cup, like, Tim just chucks it over his shoulder. It lands on this goth kid who's writing in his journal.
Oh, my God.
And he goes, I wasn't going to do it, but that's the last straw. And he turns a new page in his notebook, and he writes how to blow up school, or, like, plan to blow up school. And
like,
then
it's such a silly thing where it's just like, that alone would have been, like, hilarious.
Yeah. And
hilarious.
Then Hazel, because she doesn't understand sarcasm, she makes a bomb and she blows up Jeff's car, and then later on they're like, Hazel, we need a distraction, and she's like, oh, now you want a bomb. And she plants another one on the tree to try and like get people to stop the game happening. And the bomb doesn't go off. The whole fight scene happens. Everyone is like celebrating at the end because they realize the Fight Club saved Jeff. And then the tree blows up and it goes to the credits, and then it cuts back again real quick back to the goth kid who's saying, that's my thing. And he's so mad that someone else blew something up. It's
a movie that finishes.
Yeah.
You guys talking about it makes me want to watch it. But the description that you gave turned me off to it.
This is like, there are rowdy showings of things of like Cats. I know that was when that horrible movie came out, then people were like, you have rowdy showings to make fun of it. This would be great to watch either in a rowdy theater or just like in an entire room full of people you know are going to be very chill with this humor, because both times that I watched it, it was me and the person I was with were the only people in the theater, and this would be a great movie to watch with a bunch of people. It's
a great movie.
Yeah,
you have to watch it.
I also didn't like Fight Club.
Okay.
So that was what was in my head.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
I was like,
it's not Fight Club. They create a Fight Club.
Gotcha.
And then they even like poke fun at it because one of the people who joins the club is like, I love David Fincher.
Yeah. That was another detail that I noticed is when Josie and PJ like lose all their Fight Club friends, and then it shows like Hazel recovering from the fight from Tucker, and all of them except for Josie and PJ in her house, there's a little sign that says David Fincher Club.
That's so good.
They changed it.
All of the characters are great. Like, all of the characters that they give lines to, I mean, a lot of the characters don't even get dialogue.
Yeah.
They get like throwaway information. The character in the trailer who says, I'll finally be able to kill my dad.
Yes, that's Sylvie Summerjoy Campbell.
She is hilarious.
Yeah.
She's just like way over the top. She just screams. Like, there's a point where she's just like, yeah, all right. And it's just like the smallest thing ever.
The trailer briefly shows it where she's yelling, yes, Queen Slay. But the
way she yells it,
she is screaming.
She's just
it's like neck bulging, screaming.
Like, yes, Queen Slay. Like,
and it stays on her for so long while the rest of them are just silent around her.
And they're just like, okay, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. It's really good. There was something else I wanted to say about the cast and I forget. Oh, just Hazel's my favorite.
Oh, Hazel was the best.
Yeah.
Hazel is the best character. She's the coolest. And Hazel is unfortunately does lead to my one problem with the movie, is that the whole reason they created the Fight Club was to get the hot girls noticing them. And Hazel was right there, Bryce. Hazel is the hottest this is the hottest girl
Yeah.
you will ever see.
I knew, at least for our specific type, which does have a Venn diagram middle that's very large, but like I knew this was
but also
gonna come
all
up.
of the girls in the Fight Club are hot. But
They're
like,
all they're all great. But Hazel's intro of just like sliding up and he's like, "Hey guys," I was like, "Ah."
yeah, Hazel was wearing this like sick ass sweater vest.
Just immediate like wolf cut haircut.
And I know that sounds silly because like the way I was saying, like she's the hottest girl you've ever seen. She's wearing a sick ass sweater vest.
Us, this is perfect.
But she slides up. She slides up at the carnival with like cotton candy. She's like, "Oh, hey guys, what's up?"
You don't need to look up a picture. I will show you on the big screen. This is not how she's. She's also in the Willow show, which R.I.P.
Yeah, it didn't get
Where? Anyway,
You might just need to Google Hazel Bottoms.
yeah.
So-
Safe search on.
Yeah, just this is.
You're telling me that they don't consider her hot?
There's a line where they're like, "Oh, these people are sixes at best." It's like she's right there.
She's not a 6.
She's not a 6. I knew this would come up when my girlfriend and I watched it. She was also like, Hazel came on screen and out loud she went, "Oh my god!" And I was like, I knew that we would, all three of us, have the same type.
We like lesbians.
Yeah.
It works for 2/3 of us. But I won't tell you which ones.
It's the guessing game that they have to play at home.
Yeah.
I go for a more Victorian angle, but that's just me.
Yeah.
That's fair. I do think though that like the girls who were in the Fight Club were hot.
Yeah.
And I know that that's like just a Hollywood thing of like
Yeah.
people like everyone is gonna be hot in Hollywood.
Everyone's gonna be hot, but I did appreciate that like there's some realistic elements where like people have acne in this movie. That's not really a thing that happens that often.
Yeah.
I don't know how old everyone is. They're obviously not teenagers, but it's not like they're not weird about it.
It's not Grease.
No.
Which is a great movie. But
Yeah. Hazel was great. The soundtrack was also great. The original film score was composed by Charlie XCX and Leo Berenberg. And then there are other songs in it, like Complicated by Avril Lavigne, Total Eclipse of the Heart by Bonnie Tyler, Party for You by Charlie XCX, and Pain by King Princess, which I know this episode is going to be long. We don't have time to get into King Princess, but she's a big lesbian singer, or like big in the lesbian community, is also gay.
Yeah.
But a little bit problematic, but
I don't know King Princess.
she's also the heir to the Macy's fortune.
Oh, her.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I watched her Tiny Desk and I liked it.
She's a very good artist.
But she's heir to the Macy's fortune.
She's the heir to the Macy's fortune. What are you gonna do?
Well, we'll see if there's still a fortune after it gets ran to the ground.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh well. The Total Eclipse of the Heart song in this movie is so beautiful.
It's great.
Jeff is in his room listening to the song on headphones and he's just like fully dancing to it, like fully getting into it.
It's like
star football player who's supposed to be like big macho jock guy and he's just like,
but it's not in like a Troy Bolton way. It's kind of in like the Jimmy Pesto Jr. from Bob's Burgers way.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's that's the great
That's his
description.
vibe.
And then while that's happening is when they're egging the house and Hazel is putting a bomb on his car.
So he doesn't notice the entire time.
Yeah.
It's great. I don't know if there's anything else specifically in the movie that we want to talk about.
It's just good. I don't know.
It's very
It's
detailed.
a great movie. I mean, it hits the tropes of like they create this thing for one reason, and then their reasons change as they make it.
Yeah.
But then people find out why they made it, so they break up, and then they're like, it started out that way, but like I changed. Like
My feelings for you were real.
it's different.
Yeah.
And then people are like, nah, you still kind of a jerk.
Mm-hmm.
And then they kill a bunch of people and then they make up, like the classic tropes. The Punky Johnson scene was, so Punky Johnson, I guess it was sort of established that her character was a babysitter.
PJ and Josie have been like childhood best friends, and then Rhodes was their mutual babysitter, and it seemed like she babysat for both of them at the same time.
Yeah.
And then PJ started calling her Gay Yoda, because she was like the first queer person that they knew, basically.
So the scene is Josie, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. Josie and PJ are kind of, they're kind of fighting because the club broke up.
PJ was mean to Hazel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so Josie goes to
Rhodes.
And like tries to get advice. And then that's when Punky Johnson is basically like, the football team's gonna kill someone.
Yeah.
And then Josie's like, oh no, we have to get the club back together. And that's basically the scene. It's very short, and I'm not probably Punky Johnson's target audience. I really do only know Punky Johnson from SNL and stand up. Is Punky Johnson big enough to have and Punky Johnson?
I didn't know who she was until I looked up her on IMDb and after watching this movie.
Okay.
So again, probably not the target audience. I feel like you watch more SNL than I do.
Yeah.
I really don't know a whole lot about her.
Yeah. I didn't think she was that big because like she was still in the featuring the past 2 years for SNL.
Yeah.
She wasn't like a full cast member.
Yeah, I did look at her, like, she doesn't have any like huge credits.
Okay.
Maybe there's some sort of personal connection.
Yeah, maybe.
Because like I'm not SNL's shot in New York. Maybe they've met each other there.
Really not trying to like put down any of Punky Johnson's work.
Yeah.
Or efforts. It's just like typically when you get the and somebody, like that's like a
big cameo. I expected that type of role to go to a Gay Yoda, basically.
Yeah.
I expected that to be like a person maybe from like a 90s movie who was like a big for the queer community, and then making a cameo appearance. So, like, I don't know, like Natasha Lyonne or something like that.
Yeah, I could have seen that.
Yeah. I liked Punky Johnson in this. Like in that brief scene. It's a good scene and she's very funny in it. But yeah, I agree. I was like, this is definitely shot like someone that I should know.
Yeah.
And I don't.
I just watched the movie Spy, which is, what's her face? Oh my god, why can't I think of her name? Because I'm trying to think of it, and that's why I can't think of it. It's Melissa McCarthy.
Oh yeah.
And a bunch of other people. But Jude Law is in that movie, and in the credits, he is the and Jude Law, but a bunch of other people are in it too.
Yeah.
Allison Janney is in it. Rose Byrne. The tall British lady that you like who appears on Would I Lie to You?
Well, now I gotta look up the entire cast.
I mean, yeah,
of
the
Spy.
cast, and also Jason Statham, and bunch. Miranda Hart is who I was thinking of.
Oh yeah.
But then keep going, because there's who am I
Sam
thinking?
Richardson.
Bobby Cannavale. Marina Baccarin, like a bunch of people are in this, like big names.
Yeah.
And Jude Law is probably the biggest.
Yeah.
But like he's the and, so that's why I was just like, is there something that I just don't know that she has done?
I don't know.
If you know out there,
If you are Punky Johnson,
let us know.
yeah,
Come on to our podcast.
yeah, that'd be fun.
I'm sorry if I offended you. I really didn't mean
Yeah.
to. I'm sorry, Punky. I'm sorry.
Another scene that I want to talk about before we get to production facts is in the like things are really escalating at the climax of the movie. They are trying to they know the rival football team is going to try and kill a player. They haven't found the pineapple juice yet, or like they're trying to figure out where specifically it is. Then they're like, we need a distraction so we can stall the game. So they're yelling at the cheerleaders who are still mad at them, like Isabel and Brittany. They're like, make out with each other. Like, we need a distraction. So then they won't do it. So PJ and Hazel kiss instead, and everyone looks at them. And I do like that of like, this is not a subtle movie, so it's like a subtle message for a weird scene of like the voyeurism, or like the look, it's like two girls kissing hot kind of mentality that happens with lesbians. So that was fun to see them, like, just to see that played out in like a huge scale of like two girls kiss and then everything stops. Like, they're not even standing in front of everyone, they're just on the bleachers and everyone stops and looks at them. Yep. Production facts. Cool. So this was it premiered at South by Southwest in March of 2023, and then it had a limited theatrical run by MGM in August 25th, and then that limited run was expanded to more theaters September 1st. So I feel like we saw it after the extended run.
Yeah, we did. Definitely.
It's an hour and 31 minutes runtime with a big ol' R rating. It's got 92% on Rotten Tomatoes with an 89% audience score, 77 out of 100 on Metacritic, and 93% from audiences on Post-Track, with women under 25 specifically giving it a 98% rating. So I feel like this is really if it's for you, it's for you. If it's not, that's going to be pretty obvious. Google reviews that I just like skimmed through are basically either 5 stars or 1.
This is a great movie. I hate women in this woke agenda.
Yeah. Yeah.
Glad that soundbite is out there.
Clip it.
Yeah. There is a Deadline review that I saw like one line from Wikipedia, and I was like, I don't agree with this. I'm going to read the full thing to get the full context. And then I disagreed with the full thing more. So Deadline says Bottoms is fun and important because women should be able to just be as raunchy as men, but with some slight tweaks, this could have been that, as well as an epic exploration of the gray areas of queerness and what it means to stand in the center of that as an adolescent. I disagree because, one, I think the writing for this movie is already pretty great. And two, that's not the point of this movie. This isn't supposed to be like, this is a bad example or bad comparison, but Love, Simon is the first one that I think about, of like someone coming to terms with their sexuality and coming out. The opening scene is PJ and Josie talking about how they want to lose their virginity. To them, losing their virginity is having sex with women because they're lesbians. And that's like, they're fully identified with that. And like, that's not the point of the movie, is them coming to terms with their sexuality. So I disagree with that.
Not every queer movie has to be about...
It doesn't have to be about coming out. You can just like be gay, and this movie is like totally fine with that.
It doesn't have to explore the queer experience. Because it's not like rom-coms don't explore the straight experience.
Yeah.
You know,
So
it's
like,
just, it's the representation of just being there.
The only time that like sexual identity comes up in this movie as like someone acknowledging it is like, so Josie and Isabel do end up together. Isabel doesn't like identify as bi like out loud or anything like that. She's just no longer with her boyfriend, and now she's with Josie. PJ has a crush on Brittany. She kisses Brittany, and Brittany's like, I'm straight. And then at the end, when PJ and Hazel kiss, then one of the other girls is like, she looks at them and she's like, oh my god, I'm gay. And then Brittany is like, well, okay, well, I'm not. I just like gay porn.
And that's fine.
And and that's like the only time that anyone specifically mentions like having an identity. Besides, like Rhodes also talks about it kind of, and how different her experience was growing up than theirs.
Which is interesting because this movie doesn't ever tell you what time.
It's just vaguely 90s, early 2000s, but also they did use, another thing I noticed the second time watching it was they did use like a real photo of Ayo Edibiri and Rachel.
I noticed that.
They're holding up iPhones, taking a selfie in the mirror. And then that photo is framed. So like, otherwise everyone has flip phones.
Well, they only show one flip phone.
They show one. Jeff is like listening to a Walkman. They're in like a diner. The diner's called But I'm a Diner.
Oh yeah. Because it's
and then the the menu there has cream pies listed in the corner.
Bryce,
Detailed movie.
can I interest you?
Yes. You don't even have to finish the sentence. Yes.
Oh, I will finish.
Oh.
A cream pie. Can't wait for my mom to listen to this one.
Yep. Anyway,
Mom.
another reason I disagreed with this interview or didn't care about it is because it confuses Josie and Hazel's characters.
It's a lazy reporter.
It says that Hazel and PJ are the ones that like hit Jeff with a car and they start a fight club together. It's like, oh, so you just like fully didn't pay attention to the movie.
I for a second, because like the first part of the review is bottoms is fun and important because women should be able to just be as raunchy as men. I
disagree.
I thought you were like, I disagree. Women need to stay in their lane, and that's the kitchen.
They need to cover their shoulders and their ankles at the same time.
Clip it.
I mean, I did say I was into Victorian. So that's
wow,
good with
you
me.
meant the era.
Yeah.
You meant
The era. Oh,
You
no,
meant-
no, no.
you meant the era of when women didn't know what to do with themselves, and so men were like, well, what if we like strap you in this chair and vibrate you a bunch?
I don't know if there has been any specific era where women didn't know what to do with themselves.
Let's shake the crazy
No, but
out of it.
what am I trying? The oh gosh,
The hysteria?
hysteria.
Yeah.
That was big in the Victorian era.
Yeah.
That's what I was trying to think of.
Yeah.
A part of me thinks like women played the long game there because the solution was aggressive masturbation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like they caught on. I don't think it was a thing like, I guess this is a cure. No.
This one time, women yes-anded the oppression.
Exactly. They're like, all right.
Yeah.
Listen, let's just like push the women's rights movement a little bit, because if we do, we're gonna have something great.
I'm having a great weekend at this house right now. I don't know, guys. Anyway, director Rachel Slickman said in a Hollywood Reporter interview, I found a similar quote related to that Deadline review. She said, there's just been such a void for both queer-themed teen stories that are actually horny and reflective of the flawed teenagers that I grew up with. I really just wanted to see superficial, horny, messy teen girls who happen to be queer.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the whole point of the movie.
Mm-hmm. And it does it perfectly.
Yeah. But the general vibe of reviews that I found is the satire of it is great, but the story could have gone a little bit deeper. There are several reviews where they, like the creators of the film specifically, say that wasn't the point, that wasn't our intention. Every time that they got too deep with it, they cut it out. And I think it's much more effective that way, of just like, this movie is the epitome of show don't tell.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you don't need the exposition dialogue of like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, like, I'm glad that we're friends. Like, you just see it play out.
Mm-hmm.
And also,
especially because like the movies that this is spoofing, they didn't have more.
No.
Like, it's just
they weren't in depth in the first place. It just,
I think it's
it
just
feels like Hazel reviewed this movie of like, I don't get the sarcasm.
Well, I think it's that like, because queerness is the woke agenda, or like whatever, like it's this hot subject that like, oh yeah, it's hot, Bryce, I saw you nodding.
No, I'm tallying up all the clippable things you said.
I think the reviewers felt like it needs to be more.
Yeah.
Because queerness right now needs to be more than just existing. It has to have a political statement, which is just.
Yeah, not every.
And I know I'm saying that as a man, but like.
Yeah,
ugh.
not every movie needs to be like, this is a statement for this group that I represent. Sometimes they can be goofy, like a dumb, again, love Simon, but like a dumb joke that my friends and I made at the time watching that. We're like, wow, queer people can have mediocre movies too. This is this is representation.
And bad ones.
Yeah.
With Happiest Season.
Yeah, God. We need to find a way to talk about Happiest Season.
We'll watch it and then talk about it at the end of an episode.
We'll rant. Yeah.
Was it a successful movie though?
So it's a more independent movie, so I'm gonna give it a different standard than like the D&D movie budget thing. So its budget was $11.3 million.
And so far?
So far, as of October 8th, it has grossed $11.9 million.
Okay, all right, that is...
They've made back their budget. That's pretty good for an indie movie. It's, as far as I know, it's only been released in US and Canada. It should, if not already, have a digital release. I don't know how like worldwide available that's going to be. It was directed by Emma Seligman and also co-wrote by her and Rachel Sennott. I really hope I'm pronouncing either of their names correctly. Maybe even both. They're also...
Rachel.
Yeah. They're also both listed as executive producers. Elizabeth Banks is also an executive producer. She was attached pretty early on with the project.
Elizabeth Banks is doing some good stuff.
Her husband is also an executive producer on this movie. I don't know if they co-founded or if it's just Elizabeth Banks that co-founded Brownstone, I think is the other production company that works with Orion on this movie. So they were like the producers for that side of the production. And then, like I mentioned earlier, Bottoms is the follow-up collaboration after their short turned feature, Shiva Baby, which is also starring Rachel Sennott. They've been writing, or had been writing, Bottoms since 2017. And then after Shiva Baby was accepted to South by Southwest, that opened doors for them, and they were able to pitch Bottoms to Banks. And she obviously was on board.
Yeah.
So, a good year for Elizabeth Banks.
It would have been hilarious if Elizabeth Banks, in the same year, said yes
to Cocaine Bear,
but no to Bottoms. What a world.
Yeah.
Instead, she said yes to both.
Yeah. Yeah, there's... I don't want to assume genders, but there's lots of women/not men working behind the scenes on this movie. Just, like, looking at the IMDb and seeing the various names. But then also the casting director, Maribeth Fox, said in an interview that Bottoms was one of the most special casting experiences of my career thus far. It was mostly female team, and I think there is something so graceful and beautiful about all being on Zoom together. No one interrupts, no one's thought is more important than the other, no voice is the loudest, and everybody is so creatively respected. What a joy. It's so rare these days that you don't have to go for the most famous person to get the movie financed. Our producers, Allison Small and Elizabeth Banks, and Banks' partner and husband, Max Handelman, were so supportive through the entire casting process. That's such a gift for us when you have a great producing team that just goes, okay, you guys do your thing creatively, and we are here to fully support you. What a treat.
What a great way. What a just delicate, beautiful way of saying we didn't have men, and so we could actually do things.
We can speak out
We're
loud.
allowed to talk.
Yeah.
And they weren't full of themselves. Beautiful.
What a time to be alive.
The irony of me saying
that. Yep.
You really are the mouthpiece of feminism. Truly.
An ally. Yeah. Clip it. This movie was filmed in New Orleans from April to May 2022. A lot of films that we've covered so far have also been filmed there. I don't really have a follow-up to that. Yeah, Renfield and 65 are the first two that I can think of. Maybe one other one.
You mean 65 wasn't filmed 65 million years ago on a prehistoric Earth?
I hate to break it to you.
Shit.
And then there were also inspirations from a lot of other movies. So the costume designer Eunice Lee took inspiration from Grease, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Heathers, Jawbreaker, and Bring It On. I definitely thought of Heathers when watching it. They didn't have a fight choreographer.
What?
So they had a boot camp. That's what I'm trying to think of. They had a boot camp with their stunt coordinator who would teach them how to throw punches and do the stuff correctly. But the actual fight scenes were choreographed by the director and the DP Maria Rush, and they just watched Kick-Ass a lot, and that was what made them come up with it. It worked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. I feel like they had to have at least had an intimacy coordinator.
I think so.
Like even for those scenes.
Yeah.
Just like because that is just a standard now, which is good. Like there needs to be that.
Yeah. Yeah. But they didn't have a fight choreography.
That is wild.
Yeah. I mean, there's not like huge actual. I mean, like besides the climax, it's basically just one-on-one fights. I feel like that would be. I'm obviously not a fight choreographer. I feel like that would be relatively straightforward to do.
No, that's my thought was the fight at the end.
Yeah. Like it's just several one-on-one fights happening at the same time.
Yeah.
So it makes sense to me that the two people that would be in charge of that would be the director and the DP to figure out how to frame everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how to feel about them not having a fight choreographer. I think it worked and everyone like seems to have had a really positive experience from the filming. So I don't know if it's like them necessarily cutting corners. It's also like if we had $11.3 million, that would be obviously the largest budget that we would have ever had ever.
By about $11.3 million.
Yeah. But in terms of movies, that's a relatively small budget. So maybe it just wasn't in the budget. I truly don't know.
I guess.
That was like a line that I found from a interview of like, by the way, quirky little detail. Also, from another interview, mentioned inspirations from other campy teen movies, including Scott Pilgrim vs. the World and Attack the Block.
Yeah, we just talked about that.
We talked about that recently. Yeah.
Scott Pilgrim I can see. Attack the Block.
Just like the Edgar Wright style.
Yeah, I guess that director is friends with Edgar Wright, so there were
Yeah.
probably some inspirations on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any other production facts?
I don't think so. I would love to keep talking about this movie until I watched it again.
Mm-hmm.
But that's all I got right now.
Well, then I think we should go over our ratings for this film.
Mm-hmm.
We have a 4 rating system with 5 options. 0 out of 4 is I don't think you should make movies anymore. 1 out of 4 is that was a movie.
Mm-hmm.
2 is it's a good job, man.
Mm-hmm.
3 is enjoyable and kind of technically good.
Mm-hmm.
4 is Oscar worthy.
Mm-hmm.
What was your rating?
It was a 4. I walked out of this movie feeling like, I guess spoilers for our Barbie episode, but I had a generally positive vibe with Barbie.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, yeah, that was a good movie. That was, all the pieces of it were very good.
Yeah.
This movie was like what I wish Barbie had done.
I agree.
Of like, a lot of responses that I've seen online is like people talking about like the feminist message in Barbie was really strong and really positive, and I'm glad to see that. I agree with that. I think this movie takes it to another level of like, there's a lot more nuance in the stuff that they're trying to say, even though it is so over the top and dramatic. And I think it does it a lot more effectively than Barbie did, because the message was much simpler. Camp is really hard to do well, and this movie does it very well. And I would also, this is a movie that I feel like I would love to have a DVD of with bonus features, because like,
And a little secret thing where you press it and you get a little game that you play, you get a little play game.
little bottoms everywhere. Yeah, it just, I feel like it seems like there's a lot of stuff that was cut. I would love to see the other deleted scenes in it. Yeah.
I also gave it a 4 because it's a great movie. Similarly with the Barbie thing, I really think Barbie's a great movie. That one will probably get nominated for an Oscar.
Oh yeah. At least one.
Yeah. This is more what I was expecting Barbie to have been, because I really only watched the first trailer for Barbie, and we'll talk about this more obviously for the Barbie movie.
Yeah.
But I was expecting Barbie to have a dark twist. I don't know why. I just kind of like something about
Greta Gerwig.
Greta Gerwig. I was just like, yeah, there's gonna be something.
Yeah.
There's gonna be a weird dark twist, and it's gonna start out like Barbie, 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 and then it's gonna like turn into this weird dark thing, and it never really does that.
It kind of it like says it does.
It says it does, but it's not like a hard thing. It just shows reality.
Yeah.
And that's good. It should do that. This movie does that.
Yeah.
Especially not having seen the trailer. Just being like, okay, like it's just
going pretty fresh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, Barbie, great movie. This, great movie, step above.
I think this movie is like the ideal of 2023 goofy year for movies.
Yeah.
This is like one of the highlights of the year. I can think of like one other movie that we have seen this year that I'm like, this is my other favorite from this year.
Yes.
But this is
We're holding on to that. We're not even talking about what movie it is.
yeah. But this, I feel like I don't know what kind of ranking we're gonna do at like some point,
Yeah.
but this I feel like will definitely stay in my top 5
Mhm.
of just like, I feel like 4 isn't enough to give this movie.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely the most fun I've had watching a movie from this year so far.
Yeah.
And you know, I had a lot of fun with We Have a Ghost,
Mm-hmm.
but this one just
More fun.
more fun.
Yeah.
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 We always talk about another thing that we've watched recently because we watch a lot of other things.
Mm-hmm.
Like I mentioned at the beginning of this episode, I'm getting over being sick, and so I've watched so many things in the past week, and that includes all 3 extended edition of Lord of the Rings.
Mm-hmm.
Count them, 12 hours, baby. And whew,
Yeah.
just good stuff. It's quality content.
Hot take.
I was impressed.
Yeah.
I knew they were good.
Yeah.
I just like, it was like something that like, I don't know, no one really ever showed me as a kid throughout my youth.
Mm-hmm.
I watched them once when I was like 6 on VHS,
Mm-hmm.
and like the regular cuts, and then never really watched them. Like, you know, it's the type of thing where like if they're on cable, you watch like bits and
Yeah.
pieces here or there, but I've never like sat down again. And fantasy in that style, like old world fantasy, I guess, is
Sci-fi is your genre.
Yeah.
High fantasy is not your genre.
yeah. And I do like high fantasy. It's just not something where I'm like, I want to know everything about this universe. Star Wars, which is fantasy,
Mhm.
is also sci-fi.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I have to know everything about this universe.
Yeah.
But no, the movies were really well made, which I
Mhm.
know, hot take. But I was impressed that even with the extended edition, that everything felt needed.
Yeah.
Like it was really like okay, yeah, no, this is all context. And like, I don't know how you would do this with it being cut.
Yeah.
So I don't think I ever want to even watch the regular ones at this point because it's just like,
Correct.
yeah, if I need to go an hour without seeing Frodo and Sam, that's fine.
That's where the story takes
Like,
me.
what is Aragorn doing right
Yeah.
The
now?
fun thing is, there's more.
Yeah.
People want the extended editions,
Yeah.
and I've seen some scenes that were like weren't even in the extended editions that were like, okay, I could kind of see that in there.
But there were things that, like, I mean, obviously, like, he didn't even include, like, he didn't even film. Like, I know the character, Tom Bombadil or whatever.
Tom
Bombadil.
Bombadil is in The Hobbit.
Bombadil, he's in The Hobbit?
He's in The Hobbit.
Oh, okay. But he never even shot scenes with Tom Bombadil.
Yeah.
But there is an extended version of The Hobbit out there somewhere. I know that he has shot more.
Yeah.
But yeah, Lord of the Rings, good stuff.
I agree. I'm deep in that lore.
Yeah.
Also, another LGBTQ friendly film.
That's true.
'Cause,
Dude, the whole time I was just like, you guys need to kiss. Frodo and Sam, and then at the end, Sam is like, oh, Josie, I need to marry that girl. And I'm like, do you?
Have
Do
you?
you, Sam?
There's a fun.
Sam said this bar is full of 6s, and we screamed, Frodo's right.
There is an interview with Sean Astin. That's his name.
Yeah.
Where he was.
I liked
He
that
said.
you were asking, like, questioning that's his name, but it sounded like you were confirming.
Yeah,
Sean
that's his
Astin,
name.
That's his name.
That's his name. In
Yeah.
case you don't know.
I love Sean Astin.
Yeah.
Such a good guy. But he did an interview where he mentioned people being sad that Frodo and Sam didn't kiss, and his response was just, "How do you know they didn't?
Yeah.
It's a long trek to Mordor. I like to read the fan fiction.
Yeah.
I think they might have."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, 13 months to get back to the Shire.
Yeah. There's a whole Hobbit battle that happens in the Shire that isn't in the movies but is in the books. And I think it's
Between the Hobbits and the Hobbits?
between the hobbits and like the remnants of Sauron's army.
Oh, weird.
And then like Merry and Pippin are generals in it because they drink the like tree juice
Yeah.
from Treebeard.
Yep.
So then they become generals because they're the tallest because that like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
juice made them grow. So they're like, instead of being like 3 feet tall, they're like 4.5, maybe 5. So the rest of the hobbits are like, these guys are giant. That's one of my favorite dumb hobbit lore things, is like
That's
how
very
small
good.
they actually are. And then there's like another random person that was mentioned who was like, he was so tall he could ride
Yeah.
a pony by himself.
So good.
It's great.
Oh, and also Viggo Morrison and
Orlando?
Pippin. I'm blanking on his name.
Oh, yeah.
During the wedding scene of Sam and Rosie,
Mhm.
the two actors were just kind of like giggly about it.
Kisses
So
him.
to ease the tension, Pippin and Aragorn kissed behind the camera.
Yeah. I've seen that clip several times where he's like, I saw stars. That man swept me off my feet.
I was really surprised at how undated the film feels.
Mm-hmm.
Like not talking about like the CGI, because some of that does,
It can get goofy.
it gets a little Spy Kidsy, if
The
I'm being
Hobbit,
honest.
very goofy.
Yeah.
Does not age as
Yeah.
well.
It also gets worse if you watch it on like a high definition TV.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was watching on just a little computer monitor.
That's the way to watch it.
Yeah.
No, but I like it. None of the dialogue or like acting was just like, oh, this is the early 2000s.
Yeah.
It was just like, Aragorn is the sexiest dude I've ever seen.
That's, yeah.
Like, his personality is just like, oh, you're kind of a modern dude, Aragorn. Like,
The best male role model in film, hands down.
Yeah. He's pretty, he's up there. at
he's
least.
definitely up there.
I would have to think about it.
I have to think about it before agreeing, but I'd say he's up there.
In
he's-
terms of like a moral model of like very as far away from like toxic masculinity as you can get, I think for sure.
Yeah.
He's just like a chill dude who like he really seems like he could be the guy to pull out the acoustic guitar and play Wonderwall, but instead he's like, how's your thesis going? Like,
he just like genuinely cares about people.
yeah.
I was totally expecting, because again, I don't really remember these stories and like the depth of it. I was really expecting him to be like the guy who meets these little hobbits and is just like, stupid hobbits, you stupid hobbits. But instead he's like, hobbits are the mightiest of people.
Mm-hmm.
The respect he gives
Yeah, I
to
know.
everyone around
Yeah.
him. Ooh, so good.
So
Yeah.
good. Yeah, they're good stuff.
They are good movies.
I also watched the Cody Banks movie.
Another male
Agent
role model.
Cody Banks. If you watched anything?
I watched a couple things. I watched Death Becomes Her.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fun one. Bruce Willis and Meryl Streep and Goldie Hawn ? I believe it's Goldie Hawn. It's another like spoof tropey movie, 1992. Yeah, Goldie Hawn. And it's about like women aging and like the stigma that comes around that. But it's like there's a couple scenes where the movie does age itself, specifically Goldie Hawn in a fat suit. But like Bruce Willis was with Goldie Hawn, and then she introduces him to her friend, and he falls for her friend Meryl Streep instead, and they get married, and then they run into each other like 15 years later, because the movie takes place over like 50 years or something like that. They run into each other, and Goldie Hawn looks amazing, and Meryl Streep is like, how dare she? She's supposed to be old like I am. And then you find out that there's like this witch basically who has the potion to eternal life and will make you immortal, but you have to take care of your body. And they just like it's just Meryl Streep and Goldie Hawn like beating each other to death basically. There's like a scene of Goldie Hawn, she's shot, and so there's just a giant hole in her stomach, and then Bruce Willis pushes Meryl Streep down the stairs, so then her like neck is broken. It won an Oscar for its special effects. They do not age well. It should, so sorry, should not have won.
you gotta make the path to.
Someone's got to do it first.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's another good one. there's a bunch of like random celebrity cameos where like they're also implied to be immortal, where one of the things like Meryl Streep plays a famous actress in the movie, and they're like you can have, it's something like 11 years of this like, wow, she looks great in the public eye, and then you have to go away. Like, you can fake your death, you can do blah blah blah. So then you see all of these characters in the background of like James Dean is there and Elvis is there and like a bunch of other random celebrities where it's like implied that they are also immortal and part of the secret society now.
Now, Elvis, sure.
Yeah.
James Dean,
what a way to go.
2.5 movies.
And he was done?
like, I've got 10 more years.
But
I might as well go now.
I guess maybe it took him like 8 years to land those 2 movies, and he's like, I gotta uphold the terms of my contract. But yeah, would recommend.
Cool.
Yeah, I think that's it for this extended edition.
Bryce.
I watched something.
Okay, what did you watch, Bryce?
Extended edition.
Cut to your camera.
Watched. Oh yeah. I am bad at that.
You're okay.
I watched Addams Family Values.
Ooh.
Yes.
Very funny movie.
Good. I love that movie so much.
There were so many times where I just looked up. I was like, "Holy shit! Okay, they went there."
Yeah.
Super horny movie.
Oh yeah.
That threw me off.
Oh yeah. You think the first one's horny? This one is.
When Gomez implied that Thing gives out handies to the family.
Yeah.
Hold
Oh
on.
yeah. No, this.
Wait a second.
I've always enjoyed that one better than the first one, because I know like we watched the first one recently. How do you rank them?
It's a good question.
I mean, they can be equal because they are both very good.
I think for story, the first one's better.
Okay.
For comedy, the second one.
Yeah, I mean, and that's
By
probably why I
far.
like it more. 'Cause I
Yeah.
like the
Like the whole Thanksgiving play was very
Eat me.
Blazing Saddles comedy.
It's it's so good.
Those are movies that I'm like, how have I not seen them
We'll watch
already?
them soon because
Yeah.
we've talked. Well, it's Halloween month, so we'll talk about it.
Yeah, Haunted Mansion is on Disney Plus now, so we're gonna talk about that soon. That might be. We might do that next week.
Here's if I
Hold on. We're gonna talk about Haunted Mansion at some point. I'm gonna keep talking about Addams Family.
yeah.
Joan Cusack in that movie
Mhm.
is so good. She is Fester's wife, whatever her name is.
Mrs. Fester.
No,
Barely know her.
I can't remember.
But blanking.
She is someone like her character would have fit perfectly in the Addams Family, but she just was like so. It's not self-centered, but like sorry, like feel sorry for me, right?
Mhm.
She is if the Addams Family
Debbie.
abused, like I don't know, so the sour side of what the Addams Family could be.
Mm.
Yeah, but like, she always kills her husbands.
Yeah.
She always tried to kill Fester because they married. And it's just the type of thing of just like the Addams Family being like, oh, you tried to kill Fester?
Mhm.
Wonderful. I'm glad he's doing well.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, the
Like-
Addams Family without love. That's
Yes.
what it was.
Yes. Like she would have fit perfectly in, and she was just like not accepting. I will say this movie is why I think Joan Cusack is so hot.
We have talked about this of like the random celebrity crushes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Joan Cusack is mine
Yeah.
because of this movie. I just
Yeah.
slay, queen. Okay, we're gonna end this episode.
Now,
I think it's like an hour 45 right now. I think that's roughly no.
more.
No. Hour 28.
Hour 28, really?
Oh.
Shorter than Choop.
Wow.
And
Huh.
most of it was Lord of the Rings.
I
So,
would say we
bottoms?
should keep going. I do have to go to the bathroom, so
Well,
that's my
you
heart
can
out.
go. Thank you everyone for watching and listening to this episode. I hope you guys had as much fun listening and watching as we had talking about it. I had a lot of fun with today's episode.
Yeah.
There's a lot of great sound bites that shouldn't make it to the internet.
Yeah.
Although I was just rewatching the because Inside's already out by the time this one is out. The Inside episode. And boy howdy, all of the Germany jokes in that one shouldn't make it, but they're gonna be out there. I do want to say publicly that the Germany jokes I think are funny.
Okay.
I did make them because I thought the director was German. He's Greek.
I thought so.
So that's my bad. Okay. And I'm not saying all Germans.
The wrong culture.
Yeah, not all Germans. Not all Germans. Just gonna keep digging this hole.
Okay.
Digging this hole.
Yep. Let's end the episode.
Please follow us on all of our socials and subscribe. Leave comments. We will answer them in a different podcast.
Yep.
We will see you next week.
Yep. Bye.